Sir, it's past midnight and crackers are still being burnt. Will you take action as per Supreme Court guidelines, please? Sir, कोशिश कर रहे हैं. We are trying. Why did a bench headed by the apex court, Supreme Court Chief Justice, Justice B.R. Gavai, choose to lift the blanket ban that existed on crackers until now? Any kind of regulation to be enforced by a Delhi government, for example, that has openly sided with the pro-cracker lobby. Chief Minister Rekha Gupta framed it as a cultural celebration with no mention of its health fallout. A matchup between the right to breathe clean air versus religious freedom is actually a no contest. Moreover, vote bank politics, my friends, has pushed governments to pander to the competing sentiments of every religion. No ban or regulation on crackers will work unless the general public willingly complies with the rules. If citizen awareness campaigns were started across schools, offices, and media outlets, it might have a long-term impact.
Views expressed in this blog are hosted on my own website, are strictly personal, and do not reflect the views of any.
Namaskar, hello and welcome friends once again to Straight Bat, my weekly video blog where, as the title suggests, I comment with a straight bat. Hope you had a safe and happy Diwali, Shubh Deepavali and a Saal Mubarak. In the spirit of Diwali, I've decided to focus on an issue that should concern each and every one of us. You see, on Diwali night, as the clock struck midnight, sleepless and exasperated with the relentless firecrackers that were being burst all across our neighborhood, I rang up the local police station and asked the concerned person who picked up the phone, "Sir, it's past midnight and crackers are still being burnt. Will you take action as per Supreme Court guidelines, please?" is what I asked. The voice on the other line sounded, I must say, very fatigued. थका हुआ आवाज था. सर, कोशिश कर रहे हैं. We are trying. But क्या करें? लोग सुन नहीं रहे हैं. People are not listening, is what I was told. You know, I almost felt sorry for that policeman who had picked up the phone, as I did for the constables on the night beat. When citizens don't seem to care, how do you enforce a court order that has mandated a 10 p.m. deadline for bursting firecrackers? The next morning, while on my regular walk in the park, I could feel the toxicity in the air. There was almost as if there was poison in the air. The light autumn sunshine had been totally replaced by a thick black smog, the inevitable fallout of a night of entertainment for some, or festivity for some, but misery for many others. So, who does one hold accountable for the manner in which the national capital, and indeed several cities in this country, have become among the most polluted cities in the world, wherein Diwali week, the air quality routinely takes a turn for the worst and only aggravates chronic respiratory illnesses? Let's start with the Supreme Court itself. Why did a bench headed by the apex court, Supreme Court Chief Justice, Justice B.R. Gavai, choose to lift the blanket ban that existed on crackers until now? Were they genuinely trying to balance the conflicting interests, or simply surrendering before those who insisted that banning crackers was anti-Hindu and against Hindu sentiment? Was the Chief Justice, who is already under pressure from Hindutva foot soldiers after his comments on a Lord Vishnu idol led to that deplorable shoe-throwing incident, was he keen to make peace with his critics? After all, a temporary litmus test to determine whether regulated relaxation of norms for crackers could coexist with pollution control measures was always fraught with risk. The approval granted to the green crackers, which to me is an oxymoronic term, ye hai kya green cracker, was a rhetorical fig leaf. Far from providing a middle ground between the festivities and environmental protection or the right to life, it only gave a license to citizens to burst crackers with impunity. Did the apex court seriously expect any kind of regulation to be enforced by a Delhi government, for example, that has openly sided with the pro cracker lobby? In fact, let me tell you, friends, a brazenly partisan government has only exposed itself over this controversy. The BJP government returned to power in Delhi in February this year after a vanvas or exile of 27 years. Amongst its slew of promises was a commitment to bring back the joy of bursting crackers. Forget about addressing urgent issues of our time, garbage collection, drainage, the real issues. Those in power were determined to revive a Diwali tradition of bursting crackers. Chief Minister Rekha Gupta framed it as a cultural celebration with no mention of its health fallout. The BJP had accused the previous Aam Aadmi Party government of being anti-Hindu by banning firecrackers. It was a dangerous argument, aimed to inject a religious dimension to a grave public health issue. In an environment of this coarsened majority minority politics, it was just the kind of populist narrative that pushed the opposition on the defensive. A matchup between the right to breathe clean air versus religious freedom is actually a no contest. Clean air doesn't win you votes. Religious appeasement almost always does. Ironically, there is very little historical evidence to suggest that firecrackers have been an integral part of Diwali celebrations. Traditionally, Diwali is seen as a festival of lights, not of noise. A magically lit up diya providing a sparkling touch to Diwali. It is only in more recent times that the cracker industry has become a gigantic multi-crore enterprise driven by a consumerized religiosity that converts every religious occasion into a grand sound and light spectacle. Moreover, vote bank politics, my friends, has pushed governments to pander to the competing sentiments of every religion. So, if Muslims can slaughter goats on Bakri Eid, why can't Hindus, we are told, have an unhindered cracker fest in Diwali week? To my mind, this is a totally illogical argument when human lungs are at stake. But then logic takes a backseat when religious emotions take over. If the government, my friends, was serious about enforcing the Supreme Court directives on green crackers, it would have sent out a firm message to the police force that it meant business, not just empty rhetoric or claiming to give someone a token fine. Frankly, to expect an overburdened police force to move from mohalla to check on cracker usage in the absence of any political will from the top leadership was an unworkable proposition. Do our judges and political leaders seriously expect the beat constable to realize the difference or to see the difference between a green cracker and a banned one? Or is that constable willing to treat those who violate the law by bursting crackers at midnight as criminal offenders? Which leads me to ask questions of we the people of this country, the citizens, those who are at the heart of this firecracker nuisance. No ban or regulation on crackers will work unless the general public willingly complies with the rules. Compliance with any law in this country is a major challenge because we are subcontinental size. In 2024, for example, approximately 8 crore traffic challans were issued across India for a variety of offences. The fact that many of those who were charged were repeat offenders suggests that despite heavier penalties now under the Motor Vehicles Act, the deterrent factor is not as strong as it should be. Only last week, I saw a news report of how a Maharashtra minister's convoy was driving on the wrong side of the road in Thane to avoid heavy traffic. No traffic policeman was going to admonish the minister, much less punish him. This is a law and order and governance deficit that exists in the country. The route to compliance, therefore, must emerge from a mix of fear and voluntarism. If even a dozen firecracker violators had been named, shamed, and jailed, it might have acted as a deterrent. If citizen awareness campaigns were started across schools, offices, and media outlets, it might have a long-term impact. Unfortunately, millions in this country have been brainwashed into believing that firecrackers alone represent an unfettered fundamental right of religious freedom that cannot be constrained through coercive power of the state. Concerned public spirited citizens who may raise their voices against crackers are easily branded as anti-Hindu elites and even anti-national for denying the masses their choice of a festive celebration. Truth is, my friends, and this is important, Hindu Dharma promotes environmental protection through concepts like respecting nature as divine, venerating our trees, ped, podhe, our rivers, while constantly striving for ecological sustainability. This is what, for example, the great Mahatma Gandhi, who I call an eco warrior, often spoke of. Demanding a cleaner environment for our children is not an elite preoccupation, but must be seen as a dharmic duty. Polluted air affects every Indian, irrespective of their income levels. Yes, there are no easy solutions, but a sensitive government that looks to the future ought to create a holistic round the year action plan to tackle every potential environmental hazard. Then, be it stubble burning farmers, polluting industries, or indeed the frenzied cracker crowds. A Viksit Bharat cannot be a Viksit Bharat where millions of people are choking on poor air. Interestingly, when I interviewed the Delhi Environment Minister, Manjinder Singh Sirsa, this week, he blamed the Aam Aadmi Party government in Punjab for the worsening air quality, even bizarrely accusing them of deliberately forcing the farmers to do parali or to burn the crop residue. You see, shirking responsibility and passing the buck sadly remains a habitual problem with many of our netas. Therefore, I sadly have to say, change isn't in the air anytime soon. All we will see is more suffocating pollution. As a postscript, I want to leave you with an interesting bit of trivia. Did you know that it was Emperor Akbar, the Mughal emperor, who integrated fireworks into Diwali celebrations, significantly elevating them into a grand imperial spectacle? Though the tradition itself of firecrackers is of Chinese origin. During Emperor Akbar's reign, firecrackers were used to enhance the court festivities and celebrate victories, a practice that grew over time and has been documented by Akbar's historian Abu Fasl. From Emperor Akbar's Darbar to the new India in which we live, we have come a long way. And I want you to think about it. Think about those who suffer from respiratory diseases and illnesses. That was the Straight Bat. Do, of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel for many more such videos. For now, stay well, stay safe. Jai Hind. Namaskar.